Hey everybody, in today's video, we're going to be bringing back Carthage from the hole that we left it last time. And how we're going to do that? Well, we're going to have to destroy our artifacts first, or at least most of them, just so we can get out of debt, so that we can afford mercenaries and stuff like that, in order to first beat the dissolution faction that rose up against us. Because we're pretty close to losing against the dissolution faction, because all they really have to do is go to Carthage and then capture like an heir or something. So, let's begin with that civil war. First, we're going to call in some of our allies that we got from last time whenever we switched back to Islam, and we're going to get just a few more troops just to get our knights. And while I was looking away, we got beat pretty bad in a battle around the actual city of Carthage by the dissolution faction. However, this actually becomes a good thing, since we actually retreat right next to the capital of the guys that are leading the war against us for dissolution. So we're actually able to siege down their capital. And getting the Age of the World event was also pretty good, because we got some piety, which allows us to get a holy order on our side, mainly because of the holy war doesn't really have much to do with the dissolution faction about. And we immediately kind of get into a pretty small battle. It's just against one of their mercenary bands, and their main force doesn't come to help. So we win that battle pretty easily, and now this war is pretty much in the bag. All we have to do is just chase them down. And after we beat them pretty badly in a battle in the north of Tunis itself, we're able to get a white peace. And this allows us to focus on dealing with the Holy War, where the Languedoc people are trying to take back Montpellier. And this will be kind of a trend in this episode, where we really have to fight a bunch of wars to keep this province, but it's worth it because it makes a lot of money with the mines. And because it's a holy war, I'm not really sure why they even declare it as a holy war, because I think they have a claim on it, but they declare it as holy war, so we actually heavily outnumber them. We did get close to losing, just simply because we had a bunch of other stuff to deal with beforehand, but after a couple of sieges against the Languedoc, we are able to actually just get a full-on victory against them. And this gives us quite a bit of gold to work with. And for now, we are going to focus on gaining prestige and building up our economy. And we're mainly going to do that through holding feasts, and hunts and that kind of stuff, and then obviously just building buildings, mainly in Tunis itself, just since roleplay wise it makes sense to develop Tunis. And we do fight some wars for our allies, but it's not a huge deal. And a big reason why I chose to fight the war with my ally, aside from, wanting to keep the fame, but I actually fight in the war instead of just letting my ally deal with it, is you get prestige, I'm pretty sure, from battles in wars that aren't your own wars. And here's this little fun chess game. Stats are just a lot better than that, guys. And here are some battles and like sieges in this war for our allies, just simply because like seeing that kind of stuff is interesting. And we also kind of have a problem with this pneumonia is kind of unrelated to the problem I'm talking about, but we do have a little bit of a disease problem with some of our family members dying, kind of just throughout this early part of this episode. And what this does is mainly just cause stress problems for our character. And in this final battle in northern Spain, we're able to win the war for allies, coming out with a pretty decent prestige number from it. And yeah, then we're able to disband our troops, and I decide to ransom the prisoners that we captured in that war, just for some extra gold and hooks, which could be gold later on once we get golden obligations. And of course, we're going to use some of that extra gold to build up the economy even more. And our income's actually getting quite high now, allowing us to not have to worry about money as much as we used to have to worry about it. And now we have to fight for Montpellier again, this time against West Francia, and they've called in a lot more troops than the last Holy War. However, we're going to be able to win this. We do have to make some alliances within the realm, just to prevent another civil war from happening. But other than that, we're just going to have to overwhelm the numbers. And I do kind of make a mistake at the beginning of this war by trying to raise my troops in Montpellier itself, because I didn't want to pay the disembarking fees and everything. But as you can see, the French troops also deployed right next to the county, so we had to run away from that. And I had a small force rise up right next to Montpellier, just to keep the French waiting while I ran away after losing the battle there. And while this looks pretty bad, we are going to be able to win this war. It's just that it didn't have a great beginning to it. And the main reason that we're going to win this war is calling in our allies. And it feels really nice after being Hellenic for a little bit to finally have allies, because we're not the only country of our own religion. But we will eventually convert back to Hellenism. It's just something that I did last time, because we probably would have just straight up lost the campaign if we stayed Hellenic without being able to reform it. And now we strike back. The French troops actually just retreated and moved down to try and deal with my allies. But while they do that, we started to just siege down some forts in the Narbonnesis area to try and get them to do a white peace. And we're going to start researching chronicle writing so that we can press multiple claims in a single war, allowing us to take very large chunks of land as compared to before. And we were finally able to push a white peace with Francia, allowing us to just keep building up our prestige, our piety, money, and all of that. And the main reason that I'm not going to war right now is simply because I do want to wait until I get chronicle writing to actually go to war again, because I want to take a lot of land the next time I go to war. And I also reset my learning perks in return for some stress, just because I wanted to get to sanction loopholes and scholar. And we're also going to create some kingdom titles so that whenever we inevitably create an empire, all those kingdom titles will get integrated into the empire title, which will just make a pretty stable realm. I am going to go on the Hajj because you can get a lot of renown and other stuff like that from the Hajj, and the piety is just nice. However, it is a little annoying since we have the cynical trait, and a lot of our family now has cynical trait from the one guy that had it originally. We do gain a pretty big amount of stress. But we go with the biggest piety bonus that you get from, kind of like an offering, I guess, to Allah, I think is what it is. 63 camels. And yes, this does put us into debt. I think the renown and all that kind of stuff is definitely worth it. And now with this pilgrimage, I'm going to head home. And we actually get a pretty lucky event. We get the bankrupt event. And we literally just get a 100% chance of getting money out of it, enough to actually get us out of debt. So that was nice. We did have a vassal get a hook on us, but it's okay. And then another person challenges us to a chess game, and we lose this time. but it's not like a super huge deal. And at the end of the day, it allows us to build up opinion of other characters. And of course, we have to hold court regularly, just for the bonuses and everything that we get from it. And now our country is doing well enough that smaller nations surrounding us actually want to become our vassal, which is pretty nice. It's not super amazing to get like Saharan ones since it messes with the borders a little bit, but I'm gonna take anything I can get. And now we're going to start doing the strategy focus in order to kind of revamp our army with the Parthian tactics and all that kind of stuff that makes our army much stronger. Also, some wacky stuff happens during the feast, but nothing really happens to us. We're able to finish the feast, get our prestige, lower our stress, and all that. And we just keep on holding events. I'm pretty sure I said this already, but just reiterating it. We just keep holding events and stuff like that in order to just gain prestige, keep our opinion, or keep the opinions that our vassals have of us higher, so that they are way less likely to revolt. And now with that hunt concluded, we're going to get back on our way home, and we're actually very close to finishing Chronicle writing whenever we get home. And, of course, we're going to build up our army a little bit, because I'm going to be preparing for a very big war once we're able to press multiple claims in one war. And it's also nice to get Bellum Justum to lower the cost of declaring this war, as we have now finished researching Chronicle writing, and in its place, I'm just going to start doing some military stuff, so that we can make our army much higher quality later on. And now we're going to use the fact that we have sanctioned loopholes to buy a claim on all duchy and county, well, on first all duchy titles in Al-Andalus, and any county ones that we need that don't have duchies attached to them. And this allows us to declare war on Al-Andalus for literally everything they have. This makes our guy Yassir probably the greatest ruler we've had so far, because he's just, I mean, he rebuilt the country and now he is making himself the dominant power in Spain. It's pretty cool to have like this one character do all of this. And this war isn't really too difficult. We just, do some usual sieges, but we will have some problems with battles early on, just simply because it still is Al-Andalus. They have a lot of money to spend on mercenaries. Or, well, I should say had, because they basically spend it all on mercenaries against us. Which might seem that it's good, like that it's going to work for them, but it's only a temporary setback whenever they defeat us in a battle around their capital. And honestly, it looked like we were going to win that battle for a second, but like I said, we lose it. But it's only a temporary setback, because once we recover troops, it's time to go back in and just destroy their army and keep sieging stuff down. But also to give us a little bit of a boost, we're going to hire some mercenaries just to kind of solidify, basically more like guarantee victory against them. Especially since now that they've spent most of their income, most of their just gold in general, on mercenaries, and us having more gold than they do. And finally, after chasing them down for a bit, we're able to catch them in a battle and win that battle pretty easily, since we both have the numbers advantage, and our general is pretty good. Not as good as theirs, but, good enough to win that battle. And now I just keep going for some sieges in order to boost our war score, slowly but surely. And now we're getting very close to winning the war. And while we're getting ready to win this war just outright, we do get an Under Siege event, which is just like a mock siege that your character does in order to try and get a martial lifestyle point. But sadly, we actually don't end up getting the martial lifestyle point. And I feel like that battle right after well, not right after. I feel like that battle where we battled their like 3,000 or 4,000 troops in the south, the last one that happened, was kind of the last major battle. Because we just kind of obliterate them in the next battle, take another county, and we win the war. And that's like half of Spain conquered in just a singular war. And so what I do with this is, first I, give out the titles that I gained, the duchy titles and all of that. We ransom the people that we captured in the war from sieges and battles and everything. And then I recreate the kingdom of Al-Andalus. Well, I recreate the kingdom of Andalusia, and this means that a pretty big chunk of Spain is going to be part of the Carthaginian Empire whenever we reform it. And I'm going to help my ally out a little bit as well. Just because, why not? And now we are going to help our allies win a little bit of a civil war that they're having for prestige and, just to keep them there. Although this ally specifically isn't super strong right now, but they kind of go in spurts of being strong and not strong. Iberia's just a little unstable, but I figured I might as well help them since, they helped us a lot in our wars for survival and stuff. And this war, it ends pretty quickly. Also, another reason that I helped them, that I thought I should mention, is the specific duchy, or duke, that is revolting against them, was a duke that I had a lot of problems with in the previous episode, whenever he would constantly join wars against me with Al-Andalus. And in the meantime, we also get some more countries that want to become our vassal in the Sahara, and even though, there are going to be even more states that want to become my vassal in the Sahara, I don't want to expand that far south in Africa, because, just why? I don't know. I don't like the whole, super snaky borders, I guess. And now our ally has finally won that war, and it is time for us to begin our conquest of North Africa. It's been a long time waiting. We lost a lot of land in North Africa. Well, not a lot, but we lost some land in North Africa. Kind of slowed down a lot in our expansion in North Africa last time. And now finally, with Chronicle writing and sanction loopholes, we're able to just buy claims on those large countries in Western North Africa, just conquer them, create kingdom titles, and with those kingdom titles, vassalize nations that are a lot more friendly with us. Now our army moves out, and we are just really powerful now. We're able to easily win against this combined force in North Africa. It also feels a little nice to kind of go after these specific people, because they were messing with us a lot last time, declaring war for tiny counties but bringing in 10,000 troops while we were fighting other wars. So, in this part, kind of getting my revenge, I feel like it's pretty cool. And battle after battle and siege after siege, we finally take those guys out. And, I do some realm reorganization, creating the kingdom of Tahert, getting ready to create, then I get ready to create the kingdom of Maghreb. And the thing is, though, we have to take out Fez. And luckily, one of our vassals had a claim on the Duchy of Fez. And I think it was a vassal that we got from the last war for Tlemcen. And the battles we're having now are not nearly as big as they were in the war before this. And we don't even have to siege anything down because we captured their leader in the first battle. So we can easily take over Fez, become the king of Maghreb, which also allows us to get a couple of vassals and because I was on my way back from a trip, we did have to wait a little bit to declare war on the Burgundians. But this time I decided to do a holy war against the Burgundians, just because I believe it was cheaper, piety-wise and stuff, to do a holy war as opposed to just buying the claims. And while I'm doing this war, in like classic feudal king fashion, sending off the peasants to go die, and I'm going and having a feast over in Spain. And we get a couple more vassals, and mainly that's from Maghreb, while we're sieging down the Burgundians. And honestly, if there wasn't that war going on in Fez, I don't know what was going on there. The borders would be looking pretty nice, but of course they have to have like that weird splotch color. And this battle obviously ends up being very easy, as we are just way more equipped in like every single way to deal with them than they are to deal with us. And now, with the end of this holy war for Tahert, that is the end of our conquest of North Africa for now. I just need to create some titles, mainly kingdom titles, so that we can get them whenever we create the empire title. However, something very annoying happens. A third war that we're going to have to fight to keep Montpellier. And luckily this time it's against Aquitaine, which means that we can just deploy some troops next to a coast or something, and just have our troops go to their capital and siege it down, and then get away peace. And that is exactly what I do. And you might notice our army is actually getting pretty big. I am building up the men-at-arms and stuff like that, and so I think our army size at this point was starting to get to a similar size as the Byzantines. And the Byzantines in this specific campaign are doing really well, so that's pretty good. And we were able to wipe peace in that defensive war, allowing us to get back to what we were doing, which is trying to gather the realm to create an empire title. However, I get smallpox and my character dies. And even with a good treatment with smallpox, we still die, and that leaves the realm a little bit divided. However, we do kind of get lucky that the biggest contender for being like a really big problem for us, he died from smallpox as well, so we'll eventually inherit Tahert outright and not actually have to fight a war for that. But the other kingdom that broke away was Sardinia, which is a little funny because it's not even Sardinia, it's just Corsica, and they have like no troops. But because I realized that the guy in Tahert is probably going to die pretty soon, I decide that I'm going to continue building up prestige and all of that I need to form a new empire title. And of course, we're also going to just deal some court stuff in order to make sure that the realm is stable, considering we just got a new leader. And smallpox rears its head on our own direct family with like children of our ruler dying, but you know, that's just gonna happen with this update. And I mean, it makes sense. I mean, that was a real thing, you know. People just died of diseases that we don't really die from anymore. And we have to reorganize our whole council because, yeah. And our ally in Mesopotamia is at war, which makes it a little bit of a pain to, you know, clean up against Corsica. And also, the guy that owned Tahert died from smallpox, so we inherited that kingdom again, meaning that we just have to take Sardinia back. And our ally in Mesopotamia finally wins their little conquest war, and we're able to declare war on the Sultanate of Sardinia, which is like, I think, our character's younger brother. We outnumber them significantly because he only inherited like one county, and I think at max he had like 100 troops. So, pretty easy war. All we have to do really is just siege stuff down. And while we wait for that war to end, I keep going on hunts, feasts, and all of that. And we finish sieging up some territory, and I kind of thought that I was going to have to fight the rebellion, which I think was the Duchy of Corsica revolting against the Kingdom of Sardinia. But we didn't have to deal with that rebellion, thankfully, and we end this war pretty early because we were able to capture an important character in that battle that we just fought. So, we've reunited the realm that Yasu left for us, and now all that's left is just to do a bunch of pilgrimages and all of that kind of stuff, so that we have the Exalted Among Men fame level, and build up some gold and that kind of stuff so that we can create a new empire title. And also, if you're worried about Hellenism dying in my realm, which would make it very hard to revive it, I've actually got you covered. I've got that covered. Crete is basically just like permanently Hellenic now, because I'm refusing to force them to convert, and no one else can really get to them. So that's nice. And we get pretty close to dying because we get a wound and then it gets aggravated by bad treatment. But thankfully, we don't die with this ruler early, because if we did die with this ruler early, we'd be kind of back in a situation that was probably just as bad as the situation that we started in this part. And now it is time to go on the Hajj again, since we have a new character. And yeah, main reason we're going on the Hajj, like I said last time that we did it, it's just an easy way to get renown and all that kind of stuff, even if we have to go into debt for it. And plus, because of the path that we have to take to get there, you can actually go and visit some special areas to get like stewardship and stuff like that added to our character. So let's begin the Hajj. And also, while I'm waiting for our character to even get to Mecca, we're going to start creating even more titles, mainly duchy titles, and we're going to start handing them out to just kind of like random people. Mainly creating titles for the prestige, which will in turn give us fame. And I end up having to go rakish in order to prevent having a really bad stress problem. But I get the lover's box from that, so not great, but probably better than dying from stress. However, other than getting rakish and lover's box, nothing really new happened during the Hajj. It was just basically the same thing as when he did it last time. And once we're back, it's time to once again, well, first we need to hold court, do stuff with that. But now it's time to host a hunt for, just more prestige so that we can hopefully get to Exalted Among Men. And something kind of interesting happens while we're out on this hunt specifically. Now, I believe on that hunt I saw a legendary sighting, and maybe we'll address it in the next stream, but with this hunt, I believe I was able to get to Exalted Among Men, and all we had to do was wait for some money, and that allowed us to finally, form the empire. And just kind of as a celebration, I planned a feast as well, just because I thought it would kind of work well for gathering the realm, And before we kind of get to the end of this video, I want to say, if you like this video, leave a like, subscribe, comment, do all that kind of stuff. And if you didn't like this video, well, I'm surprised you made it this far. But this part was pretty nice, just kind of restoring everything that we lost last time. And I hope you kind of liked us restoring the Carthaginian Empire. In the next part, I'm going to try to capture the Hellenic holy sites, and maybe try and reform the Hellenic religion. But that's for next time. I'll see you all later.